been walking beneath streetlights. I've been walking, cause I can't find peace on these nights. I've been walking, but my strides are getting slower. Still I'm walking, but I don't know where I'm going. I've been looking for love, but only found deception. Told my secrets to some people who have not kept.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's your Uncle Jim, and we're back with Kidney Stories 2 tonight. My guest tonight is Tatiana Tagirova. She is a single mom who suffers from PKD, is currently on dialysis, and seeking a kidney donor. She has a very, very interesting kidney story. She holds a PhD, and she's a professor, author, world traveler. So please welcome our friend, Tatiana. Hi, Tatiana. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. Is that okay?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. My mom told me I'm never supposed to ask some woman their age, so I'll just ask your date of birth, please.
July 4, 1973.
All right. And I understand that you were born in Russia. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you're a single mom?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to give you a chance to brag a little bit on your son. What's your son's name?
His name is Roberto, last name Martinez. He was born in Puerto Rico. And we came back from Puerto Rico about 10 years ago, I think. So he finished high school and he was a salutatorian. And now he's going to UNC Chapel Hill on a private scholarship. And he also got into honors program and automatically got into the School of Business, but he wants to do biomedical engineering, maybe with a minor in business.
I have a few notes. He also made a YouTube video on your behalf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to help you find a donor, and he says you're the greatest mom in the world in the video, mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Salutatorian at his class, graduated with a GPA 4.5. You mentioned mm-hmm. that he was an NC scholar, a STEM scholar, and a global scholar.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the National Honor Society, the mm-hmm. honors program at UNC. I did my homework, Tatiana, honest. Provost scholarship at UNC. Mm-hmm. You mentioned in the School of Business. And I have a note somewhere that he wants to become a medical doctor long term. Is that right?
Well, he was thinking about that, like when he made the video. I don't know if he's still thinking of that. He might be. But okay. Right now, like he just, because, like you still have to get a bachelor's degree. So like if he does biomedical engineering, he will have the classes to go into the medical school. So he's still thinking about it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. So mm-hmm. brains runs in the family over there.
Well,
because you're a pretty smart lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, his other family members are also smart.
Okay. Tell us a little bit. I understand you moved from St. Petersburg to the United States in 1993. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I first came to college to Pennsylvania. It was called Philadelphia College of the Bible. I think it's called Kane University right now. So I got my bachelor's degree and my master's degree in education. And then later on, I moved to Puerto Rico and I got my PhD at the University of Puerto Rico.
Okay.
So I
So
have
like I
worked in
said,
Puerto Rico, like I have worked in the United States when we came back at Elizabeth City State University. And yeah. Mm-hmm.
all right, and you have teaching experience. You talked to us a little bit about that. Can you tell us a little bit about your teaching experience?
Yes, at the University of Puerto Rico, I was an assistant professor. Was a tenure track position. Then I moved back to the United States. I was first an assistant professor and then an associate professor at Elizabeth City State University.
Okay, and you also have some writing experience. I understand you've written a couple of books and some scholarly articles. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so my doctoral dissertation is on a Jamaican writer, Claude McKay, who also visited Russia and was influenced by Russian literature. So I turned my dissertation into a book, and the title of the book is Claude McKay's Liberating Narrative, Russian and Anglophone Caribbean Literary Connections. So then we edited another book and then several articles that I have also presented at professional conferences.
I was going to ask that. You've spoken too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, right. Tell us a little bit about your traveling experiences.
Well, mostly like for conferences, so we had to present like where I presented my papers. So several Caribbean islands, Spain, Switzerland. Let's see, where else did I go? Kind of sometimes my brain is foggy. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, Russia. Like one time was like we traveled to a conference in Russia, but I mean, I've grown up in Russia anyway. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
France. Yeah, I have been to France too for a conference.
okay, so you were pretty active and very intelligent, scholastic work, primarily from what I gather.
Yeah, I enjoyed studying. Like Puerto Rico was a very good school to study at, University of Puerto Rico.
Okay, and are you able to work now?
No.
Okay, can you tell us why? What happened?
Well, I've been in kidney failure for the past 3 years and have been on a kidney transplant list. So now I'm on dialysis 3 times a week.
Okay,
So,
and what caused your kidneys to fail?
polycystic kidney disease that my father had.
Okay, I can relate to that. I have PKD. I also lost my dad to polycystic kidney disease. 4 other members of my family. Very fortunately, so far, my son does not have it. So, but I just like you, it's the same path. I had PKD. I was active, and then I just was not able to work. Was on dialysis. So you're currently on dialysis. When did you start?
About 4 months ago, like maybe 3.5 months ago.
Okay. And you
I
mentioned
wasn't
3
kidney
times
failure, but I held very well, like for a long time, not to start dialysis. But I was pretty much in kidney failure for the past 3 years.
Right. And you were trying for a preemptive transplant, is that right?
Yeah. So like 2 people tested, but they didn't qualify.
Okay. You mentioned that you have dialysis 3 times a week. I take the modality that you're using for dialysis in-center hemodialysis. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where do you take dialysis, Tatiana?
It's called Mania. It's about like 30 minutes from where I live.
Okay.
In their county in Mania. Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us the concerns that you have about COVID and the steps that they're taking to prevent their patients from getting COVID-19 at your center?
No, they're very good. We have to wear masks. They take our temperature every day. They don't allow anyone to come inside. So I feel like they're doing a good job.
Okay, and so you feel protected. That's good. That's very, very good. Are you currently listed for a kidney transplant?
Yes, with UNC at Chapel Hill.
USC, University of South Carolina?
University of North Carolina at
North
Chapel
Carolina.
Hill.
Oh, Jim, pay attention. All right, so at the University of North Carolina, who is your transplant coordinator?
Her name is Ricky, but I also can ask Dr. Detweiler questions, and he's the head of the transplant clinic. So they have my chart, and I can ask like everybody. Like I'm very happy with that. It's like good communication because not all the centers have good communication methods.
Right, because you had that at least one bad experience before that I recall. The my chart thing, we should probably explain that a little bit to our audience, because I have that as well with my transplant center. If they want to communicate with me or I want to communicate with them, I can get a message to them quickly and they will answer.
And Chapel Hill is very good at responding. Like usually it's the same day or the next day that they respond well, you know?
Okay. I have Amy Woodward as your transplant coordinator. Is that still correct, or is that not correct?
Amy, she's the coordinator for living donors. So like living donors can contact her, but I'm not technically supposed to contact her. I'm supposed to contact Ricky.
Ricky?
Yeah.
Okay. So Amy, AMY Woodward, WOODARD, living donor coordinator. Telephone number 984-974-7568, 984-974-7568. Amy.Woodward at unchealth.unc.edu. And Ricky, Ricky RIKKI Huffstedler HUFFSTETLER 984-974-7433, 984-974-75. Oops, I've got the wrong number. Excuse me. 974-7433. Ricky RIKKI.Hotsteller HUFSSTETLER at unchealth.unc.edu. That's your waitlist transplant coordinator, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I told you, Uncle Jim did his homework.
So how are you feeling? Are you feeling okay?
I feel good. I feel very, very good. I've been very fortunate. So no complaints. The folks that follow me know that I was transplanted at IU Health in Indianapolis. I had a 4-year anniversary in April 27th. So I've been feeling very lucky, very lucky. And I appreciate you asking, my friend. Tatiana and I have been friends for a while, so just so the folks know. What is your blood type for direct donation purposes?
I am B positive, so B and O type can donate to me. And the current person who is testing for me, she is B positive as well, I believe. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And your center recognizes paired donation as well, the donor swap? So in other words, if you have a donor that doesn't match, but matches somebody else, that person has a donor that doesn't match, but their donor matches you, you can trade donors so both of you then have a match, correct?
Right.
Everything okay with the computer?
No, it's my cat now. I'm sorry. She's trying to destroy my computer. Wait a second. I'm sorry. Okay, no.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, she has to go.
It's a crisis.
She's trying to completely destroy it. Sorry.
All right. I have a note here, and I'll make sure I float the line afterwards, but to donate to you or to at least start the process, you can fill out an online form also at UNC. Okay, great. Now, you mentioned something about current donor. Tell us what's going on with your current donor.
Well, I met her through Facebook because I have been trying to, like, I think mostly I've been trying to find the donors through Facebook, and only recently I have made, like, somebody helped, like, somebody made for me. Her name is Rita, and she didn't charge me, and she just made the signs for me. She's with Just Enough Fund. That's an organization. So she used the funding from Just Enough Fund to make the signs for me. She made yard signs and banners. So we have placed them around. But before that, mostly I've been trying to find the donors through Facebook. And like we have it's called OBX Locals where I live. We have a group, Outer Banks. OBX is Outer Banks. So I posted there, and there was one person that said she would test for me. And then I did meet her one time in person. She's very nice. So she's the one who is trying to test for me now. Mm-hmm.
And she's close, right? Because I read recently that she's done all the testing except for the antibody testing, and she's a match for you, correct?
Well, they told us that they did cross match, and so like my body should not reject the kidney. We still don't know how good a match. From what I understand, like 6 out of 6 is the best match. So we don't know yet, like how good of a match, but from like they told me they're not as concerned about like 6 out of 6 or 1 out of 6 as the fact that my body would not reject the kidney. And they have, like, from what I understand, there have been people that matched like 6 out of 6 and still went into rejection, and someone who had 0 out of 6 and did well. So it's kind of hard to predict from what I understand.
Yeah.
Like even if you have like 6 out of 6 match, it's not necessarily the guarantee that everything will go well, from what I understand. But I think it is better to have like 6 out of 6 match.
Great. I'm very pleased for you, my friend. Very, very pleased. I know that you're
so now
also...
they have to, like, she has to go to Chapel Hill in September, and it's a very thorough evaluation of the donor. So I think she first has to talk to them on the phone, and then she has to go there for 3 days. And they basically check everything just to make sure that it's okay for the donor to donate the kidney. So the donor will be well, you know, and can do well.
Good. Well, we want to make sure she's okay too. Excellent. I understand that you're working with Help Hope Live to raise money for transplant related costs. Is that accurate?
Yes. So Chapel Hill told me to use Help Hope Live because that's we have to present receipts to get reimbursed, and it's solely for medical expenses. And so there are expenses. I have raised some money, but basically everything I have raised has already been spent in the last 3 years because I had like, you know, just to do the tests to stay on the list. That's like the insurance bills that. Then I had a graft surgery. So there are like deductible and co-payments for that. Then I had some issues with my graft, and I had to have 3 surgeries on my graft. So what else? What are the expenses? And then like annual, you know, when we go every year and do the tests. So that's also some expenses.
Right. We should explain it to the audience. When you're listed for transplant, they do initial tests for you to get on the list, and every year you have to repeat those tests to remain on the list.
And I did well. Like they just told me, like my nephrologist told me that my heart is good, my mammogram is good, so everything is good. My annual tests, yeah.
Very good. I'm pleased for you. Very good. I went through that a little bit myself too, so I understand. I was listed at 3 different places, so. Some places would not accept the other places' tests, so I had to do some repeats from time to time. So I should glow in the dark. I understand the testing thing very well. So you've talked to us a little bit about costs. Can you tell us what kind of costs you're concerned about?
Well, just mostly like all these deductibles and co-payments for the medical test, for the surgery. Like if I'm admitted to the hospital, there will also be like co-payments and deductibles. So I still need trying to raise more money because I have raised 3,000, I think, with Help Hope Live, but all of this has already been spent. And I
Okay.
haven't even had the transplant yet. Yeah.
Well, we have to get that mission accomplished.
And so different people have been trying to help me. Like, it's not like a whole lot of money that you can raise, but like better than nothing. So like
Sure.
somebody has been making cakes in other banks, and she's donating 5% from her sales towards me to help me.
I have a list of things that I noticed on your page where you were doing fundraising, things like COVID masks, yard sale, baked goods, car sticker, cooking class. I should have went to cooking class, Tatiana. Kitchen glassware, banners, flyers, pampered chef parties, things of that nature. So I know you're working at that very hard.
So like several people have been trying to help, mostly like local people. And one person actually, she tried to be my kidney donor, but she didn't qualify. And she's the one that started the group for me. Her name is Faith. So she started the group. She lives like near Asheville. And so she started the group and she's helping with the masks.
Okay. And you've done a lot of things to try and let people know that you have a need for a kidney. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, I've just been posting on Facebook pretty much. Like my son made me a video posting in local groups because that's where I found Katie, the current donor, potential donor. And then the other one, I have a friend, Heather. She had transplant at UNC, I believe in 2018, like 2 years ago. And now she needs another kidney transplant.
Oh boy.
So she's looking for a kidney donor again, and she's in our group, in my group. And then we have Lisa. She also needs a kidney donor. So I'm just trying to see, like, if my donor qualifies, maybe from all these yard signs, if people call, I can help Lisa to find a kidney donor.
That would be great.
So I met Heather in Chapel Hill, and actually, like how I met Faith, the donor that didn't qualify, is because she responded to Heather's flyer near Asheville. And then she called Heather, and at that time, Heather was not on the transplant list. She said she didn't need the donor, but she told Faith to call me. So we are trying to help each other.
Very good. Very good. It's really heartwarming to know that you're trying to help other folks, even though you're in the process of trying to obtain a transplant yourself.
And Lisa is the same way. Like she's trying to help. Like we're trying to help each other.
Whole bunch of kidney advocates in the making there. I love it. I love it. Very good. Very good. What are your reasons for seeking a transplant? Tell us why you are looking for a kidney transplant.
Well, like it's not a very good quality of life to be on dialysis, like you can hardly do anything, and so I can still live and help my son. Like I would like to see my grandchildren one day.
Right. Your son's a great motivator from everything that I've read. Would that be a fair statement?
Did you watch his graduation speech?
Yes. Yes, I did. Wow, is he smart?
I think like the message was very nice. The message of his speech.
Yes. Yes. You've raised a great boy there. Done an excellent job. You're a good mom. So you have a couple of pages on Facebook that I noticed. One of them, Tatiana Tagirova, is seeking a kidney. That's one that I helped you with, right? And then kidney donor needed for Tatiana. I also had a chance to look through that. So if people are looking for where to find you or where to help, kidney donor needed for Tatiana or Tatiana Tagirova Tagirova is looking for or seeking a kidney.
And
Either
thank
of
you
those
so
two.
much for like helping me with the page, because at the beginning I felt like totally alone, like nobody was really helping me. Like later, like people came aboard, you know? But at the
Yeah.
beginning was pretty much just, I felt like you were the only one helping me, like, trying to find a kidney donor. Yeah.
Well,
And
I
sometimes
went.
it's hard to ask for help, you know?
Yes. Yes. Well, I went through that myself, and I made myself a promise a long time ago that if I was successful, I would try to help other people. So I'm very happy to help, and I'm really, really very pleased with the progress you're making and the friends that you have, and the fact that all of you guys are working together to.
Yeah, right now,
try.
like I feel like I have a lot of help, you know, like a lot of people are willing to help me.
Excellent, excellent.
Mhm.
Are there things that I didn't cover tonight that you would like to discuss that I failed to bring up?
I don't think so. Just would like to like thank my friend Susan. Like she helped me a lot, like even during this pandemic. Because we didn't know, like at the beginning, everybody was so scared, and I was at the hospital in Greenville, and she went and picked me up, which is like about 2 hours and a half, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm very thankful to her, and then other friends that helped me to get listed, my Sandy and Leslie, and then Diane gave me a ride, like another friend that has given me a ride to Chapel Hill. My son has given me like rides 4 or 5 times, I think.
Well, he's a good boy. I know that, and I'm glad that you have friends that are helping you. Is there anything
Because I
else
don't
that
have it, like my son is my only family. You know, it's
Yeah,
hard when you don't have, when you don't have much family.
right. Well, all of my family succumbed to PKD except for my son. So, like you, he's my family.
So where does he live?
I beg your pardon?
Where does your son live?
My son lives in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, he works for the Cincinnati Reds. He runs their authentics department, autograph, baseballs, jerseys, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is what Jim does. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, very fortunate, like you, to
Mm-hmm.
to have my one booster. So,
Mm-hmm.
very happy to have that. And
Do you
of
have
course,
grandkids, or you don't have grandkids?
no, not at this time. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully I get to meet my grandkids like you talk about someday.
And my son has been dating someone for 2 years, and she's very nice too. And she's a year older, and she's at UNC Chapel Hill already. Like she's studying there.
Mm-hmm.
So she has been a good influence on him, like because he is very smart, but he was not like. I think like she made him aware that he really needs to do well,
Okay.
and he needs to put in effort. And she was a good influence on him.
So she's a good motivator for him.
Mm-hmm.
So he does very well. So whatever the combination is between you and the girl, it seems to be working.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy for him, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy for you, Tatiana. We wish you the very best of luck. And if I ask you to come back sometime, will you update us?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well,
Okay.
thank you so much for doing this, and because I think we're not just helping me, maybe like other people will listen, and we still need to find one for Lisa. And Heather like has a potential donor, but sometimes they don't qualify, so we don't know for sure yet.
I know how that works, and I had a couple of false alarms too. So I'm pretty familiar with the way that goes. So
Mm-hmm.
I hope all of the ladies in your group are fortunate enough to find their donors.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
No worries, Tatiana. I'm going to let you go, and then Steve's going to make me talk about politics now. Ha ha ha.
Okay. Well, have a good day. Have a good evening. Mm-hmm.
All right. You have a good evening
Uh-huh.
too, my friend.
Uh-huh. Bye.
Bye now. Oh, Steve, are you there? All right. I want to talk about an experience that I had recently with the American Kidney Fund. And I have to have my cheat sheets here to do that. So, but one of the things that they asked us to discuss, and I wrote a blog about it, is addressing health disparities and helping kidney patients. Because, as you know, there are 37 million Americans living with kidney disease. There are millions of more at risk that have gone undetected because they haven't been tested. I had a friend recently on another talk that told me he got up one morning, he didn't feel well, he fell down, he went to the hospital. They discovered that he had end-stage renal disease, kidney failure. They put in a catheter and he was on dialysis by the next day. So that's the way that many people find out. You know, they kind of fall out of bed and literally end up with a spigot in their neck and end up on dialysis. Any rate, so that could be as high in our country as 90 million people that really have CKD, but it's undiagnosed. So, you know, so an old theme that Uncle Jim has talked to you about, he wants to return to again. If you have not been tested for chronic kidney disease, please ask your doctor to do that, because, you know, they talk about COVID, but, you know, like our friend Steve always says, kidney disease is the 9th leading killer in the world. Because of the pandemic, I would suggest to you that we're going to go up as far as people that have the disease, and we're going to go up as far as the people that die from it. So that 9 is not, it's not going to be like someday we're going to be 10. It's going to be more like we're going to be 8 or 7 or 6 or 5 or worse than that. So please go in and get tested. It's a very simple series of tests. You pee in a cup, they take a small amount of blood from you, and that's pretty much it. The key to that is that if you're detected early and you get treatment early, it won't be as severe for you. And I'm a pretty good example of that, because, you know, kidney disease runs in my family. So when I first started having issues, I was tested very early on. I was diagnosed when I was 25. I was seeing a doctor at IU Health in Indianapolis very shortly after that. They put me on a kidney diet. They put me on high blood pressure medicine. I managed to stay off of dialysis until I was 58. So from 25 to 58, you know, they had it relatively under control. So I was very, very fortunate that way. The one thing that they noticed in the studies that they did for the fund was that the same people that seem to be affected by kidney disease are the same people that are being affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. And those are, as Steve always tells us, those are minority people. Disproportionately, end-stage renal disease and COVID affects minorities. Black Americans make up 13% of the United States population, but they account for almost 35% of Americans with kidney failure. Hispanic Americans are 1.6 times more likely than non-Hispanics to develop kidney failure. Native Americans are 1.2 times more likely than Americans to develop kidney failure. So when you look at this, given those facts and those particular communities, and Steve always tells us this too, that's what that petition is all about, that we want you to sign, okay? We want you to sign it and share it and sponsor it. Make sure your friends know about it. Make sure your kidney friends know about it. Make sure your legislators know about it, okay? That's what we're trying to do. But what we're finding is that those groups of people have high rates of high blood pressure and diabetes. Diabetes is the #1 cause of chronic kidney disease. High blood pressure is number 2. I have hereditary problems. That's down the list a bit. Okay, that's like 8 or 9 on the list. But those two things disproportionately occur in those communities. And like Steve always says, what do we see in those communities? Fast food joints, bad food, high degree of diabetes, high degree of high blood pressure. And right in the middle of those communities, sometimes you'll see a DaVita or a Fresenius. As he pointed out recently, sometimes they're right across the street from each other. So, I mean, you know, Warren Buffett invested in DaVita. He invested in Fresenius. He doesn't lose money, folks. He doesn't make bad investments. Okay? He knows those numbers are going to go up. And that was before all the stuff about the virus. All right? I'm telling you, astronomical changes in the number of kidney patients on the way. So that's what we talked about. And these groups, according to the CMS, the Central Services for Medicaid and Medicare, Black people have the highest rate of infection and hospitalization among racial and ethnic groups. They're hospitalized 4 times more often than white people. Hispanic, 2 times. Asian people, 1.5 times. Medicare beneficiaries with end-stage renal disease have the highest rate of hospitalization among Medicare beneficiaries, period. 1,341 hospitalizations per 100,000 beneficiaries. That's 8 times higher than the normal hospitalization rate for Medicare beneficiaries. So as you can see, the disease affects people in those communities. They tend to have the things that lead to kidney disease more frequently. The proof is in the pudding. We end up in the hospital more frequently than other Medicare beneficiaries. So I sent Steve an article. It was a scientific article to help him with his petition. And basically, that article said exactly this, that the people in these communities tend to suffer from higher rates of kidney disease. They tend to suffer from higher rates of diabetes and high blood pressure, and that their diets in those areas are not good. And that is why the people that run these dialysis centers deliberately put so many of them in those communities. And you can see when Steve does the videos and he walks around the dialysis centers, you can see the way that they keep them. Burnt out cars in parking lots, garbage around the center, vermin around the center. Not a very pristine, clean environment exactly for dialysis patients, right? I mean, it's not that they don't put dialysis centers in richer, more affluent areas. It's just it's really centered. It's really deliberately triggered in that area. And even if you work for groups like that, where do you go to eat? Well, what's close by? McDonald's, Burger King, the family center stores. You get, the stuff you can eat in a plastic bag, right? So 2 pieces of legislation that also support what Steve's been telling us. So what I want to get across to you tonight is that the things that Steve Belcher, when he goes on the air and he travels here and there and he shows us all these centers in these poor neighborhoods, right in the middle of the hood, not associated necessarily with hospitals, but closer to the dime store, closer to the grocery store, closer to where the apartments are. Why is that? They're not silly about where they place these things, right? They place them in their known high traffic areas. That's the point that Steve's trying to make. Okay? It's not an accident. It's not an accident. They do that deliberately, my friends. They do that on purpose. They know where their customer base is. All right? And Medicare doesn't negotiate. They don't negotiate medical bills, none of that. They pay what is demanded. So it's, to people like DaVita and Fresenius, other dialysis providers, it's like minting money. It's like having a mint right in the basement of the place, man. That's what goes on. So legislation that I want you to check out through the American Kidney Fund. They have petitions that you can sign, send to your legislator, let them know you support these things. I took that to my legislator. I did get a co-sponsor from Pete Visklowski. He's my representative in Washington, my congressman. He is a great proponent for kidney patients. He's in the kidney caucus. Just about everything we've ever discussed, he helped me out with. And I just want to give a big thank you to Representative Visklowski. Unfortunately, He's retiring in January, and our good friend Frank Mervin will probably be elected and take over for him. So Frank, if you're out there listening, we need you, baby. We really need you to pick up the mantle that Pete has left behind. You have some big shoes to fill for kidney patients. Legislation. House Resolution 6637, the Health Equity and Accountability Act of 2020. This bill aims to address many of the root causes in health disparities in a number of ways, such as improving health access and quality, enhancing language is a big deal, and enhancing language access and culturally competent care. The provisions of that act include increased research into kidney disease in minority populations and the inclusion of minority populations in clinical trials. Can you imagine that? Minorities exponentially have more serious kidney problems than the rest of us, but are excluded from clinical trials. So when they do these things to test, to make scientific decisions, which are supposed to be empirical, right? They're supposed to be based on facts, science, knowledge. If you don't include minorities in those testing groups, you don't have the truth, right? You don't have the truth, my friends. So, they have to be included. Support and expand research into kidney transplant rates in minority populations. What do we know about that? Minorities do not get transplanted as frequently as non-minorities. They wait up longer. How long have you seen on Facebook where some minority person writes, "I've waited 8 years and I finally got the call"? Do you know what the average time is? The average time is between 4 and 5 years through most parts of the country. Now, there are exceptions. California, New York, New Jersey, the wait times are longer. There's more people there. There's more people with kidney disease. The wait's longer. But if you're a minority for some reason or another, you wait a lot longer, right? And that, just on the face of it, starts to sound like discrimination to your Uncle Jim. So, it needs to be studied, right? I mean, why are they treated differently than us? That's not right. Developing an action plan from the National Institute of Health around public health strategies, prevention, diagnosis, disease management, and awareness of kidney disease. I mean, if we're going to spend time doing study and we're going to spend money to try and help the folks out, right? Let's develop a plan. Let's turn what we find into action. That's the idea there. Adding dialysis to the definition of primary care services, oh my God, which would increase patients' access to care in underserved areas. Because not only do we have the problem where certain places, they put too many centers, right? But we have the opposite problem too. We have places where they won't go. And they don't, like rural places, for example. There's not enough centers there. All right. HR 6561, Improving Social Determinants of Health Act 2020. This bill would create social determinants of health in a program with the Center for Disease Control and Prevention to focus on social, economic, and environmental conditions that affect health and well-being and are significant contributors to health disparities. Now, what are they talking about there? There are certain areas where people live where they don't get adequate health care. And because they don't get adequate health care, they're not as healthy as some of us. So there's what they call a disparity there. So they want to determine what are the things that cause that. And Steve has been talking about that, every day? A new video? Every day Steve makes a new video about these sorts of things. The social, the education, the economic environment, the environment itself. You've seen those places where Steve goes and makes these videos. And from what he's been telling us that those people are not as healthy as other people, and that is because they don't get the benefit of adequate health care, right? Everybody should get adequate health care in our country. We are the United States of America. We are the best country in the world. There's no good excuse. There is no good excuse for some of us to get inadequate health care, right? I mean, you need dialysis, you should get dialysis. You need to do things that prevent you from getting kidney disease, that prevent you from getting worse, right? Because, once you have it, you can't get rid of it, okay? There's no cure at this point in time, but you can slow it down, okay? I'm living proof of that. I'm sitting here tonight. I'm going to be 66 in a week. I was diagnosed when I was 25. I'm living proof of that, okay? Think about this. I've lost 5 relatives to kidney disease. 2 aunts, an uncle, a cousin, and my dad. Okay? They didn't get the same opportunity that I did because they didn't live in my period of time. My dad was born in 1914. I was born in 1954. I got some benefits that he didn't. I got a better social, economic, and environmental health situation than my father, who was born at a time like this when there was a pandemic. They forbid you from leaving your house. That was their idea of dealing with it, right? They quarantined you. Does that sound familiar? They put a sign up on your door, said quarantine. You couldn't leave. Nobody could come in or out. That's the best they could do at that time. A smallpox is what affected my dad's family. So what are these SDOHs, the social determinants of health? What are they going to do? They include looking at income level, educational and job opportunities, access to housing and utility services, workplace safety, gender inequality, racial segregation, food insecurity, early childhood experience, and exposure to violence and pollution. These are all things that affect your health. Have you read recently how pollution, just as an example, pollution affects our kidney health? So, all those people that are beating the drum so loud about the water and the air and that sort of thing and problems with our environment, don't think that doesn't include you, my kidney friends, because that sure does. Those environmental factors directly affect your health, your children's health, your family's health, your friends' health, your coworkers. Just as an example, that's just one thing. All right, but all of these things in that bill that need to be studied and worked on and funded to correct are very, very important. Go to the American Kidney Fund's website. There are forms to fill out. It takes all about 2 minutes, and they send it straight to your. All you got to do is tell them where you live. They send the letter straight to your legislator. If you ask, he'll write you back. Okay, and always ask. Always ask. I always ask them to please write me back. Let's start a dialogue, right? You want to become that legislator's kidney guy. You want to become their go-to person. You want to become the person that they rely on for solid information. Okay? You see me do these things where I'm flying back and forth to Washington, and lately I'm doing these virtual things, these Zoom meetings, and that sort of stuff. That's why I do it. That's why I do it, because these people control our lives. Okay? Whether you like politics or not. And it just so happens that I do, but whether you like politics or not, what you have to realize, my friends, is that these people, they control what happens to us as kidney patients. So we have no choice. Either we deal with them or it might go right by them, right? And you tell your story. That's what they remember. It's not It's not this stuff. It's not, can you see? It's not this stuff. It's not the legislative pitch. It's the, my name is Jim Myers. I have polycystic kidney disease. I was diagnosed when I was 25. Went on dialysis when I was 58. I was transplanted at the age of 62. Things went easier for me because my PKD was detected early. It was treated early, right? It made my dialysis easier. It made my transplant available. It's made my life easier in general. Or I wouldn't be here talking to you today. By all rights, I should be gone. Okay? By all rights, I should be gone. So we have to deal with those guys. All right? Immunosuppressant drug coverage. This is in both the House and the Senate. House Resolution 5534, Senate 3353. As you know, because we've talked about this before, Medicare only covers your immunosuppressant drugs after your kidney transplant for 36 months. You either have coverage independently after that, or you're on your own. Those medications cost about $2,400 a month. Medicare pays a phenomenal amount of money for immunosuppressants, and then they pay even more to try and take care of us after that. Because what happens when you can't, I should show you. What happens when you can't take these pills anymore? The tacremonious, right? And the Myofortic. Those are the pills that I take every day, twice a day, to protect my transplanted kidney. What happens when you run out of money and you can't do that anymore? Your body rejects your kidney. Now that, that's a simple sounding sentence, but it's a horrible, painful, leads to surgery, not good result. Okay? And you go right back on dialysis. So instead of paying the $24,000 a year to protect your kidney, right, for the immunosuppressants, they end up paying almost $100,000 a year to pay for your dialysis in full until the day that you die. And you will take dialysis until the day that you die unless you get another transplant. So that's what that bill is all about. Now, between just us girls, okay, between you and me and all our kidney friends, we're close on this bill, okay? We have been fighting for this bill, the immunodrug bill, for over 20 years. Over 20 years. And we're close. That's what all my kidney advocacy groups tell me. The National Kidney Foundation, the American Association of Kidney Patients, the American Kidney Fund, the Chronic Disease Coalition. If I left somebody out, I'm sorry, but that's what they all tell us. We're close. We need your help to put this over. And here's the thing you want to remember. The budgeting office, the central budgeting office, said that over a 10-year period, you could save almost $70 million by simply paying for immunosuppressant drugs. All right? Now, that even made the Republicans sit up. Can I say that? That even made the Republicans sit up and take notice. That's why we're getting all these co-sponsors all of a sudden, because now you can argue this is a money-saving proposition, my friends. Go to the NKF, go to the AAKP, go to the American Kidney Fund. They all have these form letters. All you've got to do is answer a few questions, 5 or 6. They take care of everything else. They send it to your legislators. Ask for them to write you back. Start a dialogue. And oh, by the way, just so you know, all of these guys have local offices. Somewhere close to you, they have a local offices that's being maintained by one of their health liaisons. You can go there, you can talk to them by Zoom, you can talk to them by phone, you can tell your story, you can make your pitch for legislation like the immunosuppressant drug bill, for example, and they will listen. Now, when your actual member of Congress hears your story, he'll remember about 80 to 90% of it. But when your health liaison, the younger person working for the guy, right? When that person hears your story, they'll remember almost 100% of it. Almost 100% of it. So that's why your story is important. Now, everybody knows their kidney story. You don't have to be a lawyer or an expert on legislation or a brainiac to tell your kidney story, right? Right? You don't. You know you know your kidney story better than anybody else on God's green earth. My friends, tell them your story. Tell them you support that legislation. Explain to them why it's important to you. You know, our friend Tatiana has waited a number of years to get a kidney. Can you imagine the disappointment after 36 months if you're unable to afford your immunosuppressants and you lose your kidney, you lose your gift, and have to go back on dialysis? And think about something else for a moment, too. What does this do to people that want to donate? Right? What does this do to donors? When you go to your kidney transplant center, when you go to the kidney transplant hospital, why do you think they ask you so much about your finances, your economics? How are you going to pay for this? Right? How are you going to pay for your immunosuppressant drugs after we give you a gift, something that's limited? We don't have enough kidneys for everybody who wants one. People on that waiting list die every day. Okay? So this is an important bill, and we are close, my friends. We are this close. We need you to help us put that over the top. So don't be afraid. You know, you need links or resources or any of that kind of stuff. Write me. I'm on Facebook. I'm on social media. I have a footprint bigger than Bigfoot's. Okay? You can find me, Jim Myers, Myers, on Facebook. You write to me. I'll send you to places where you can write. Okay? About everything that we've talked about tonight. Now, I just want to close with this. I know that over and over again, we have seen Steve Belcher at these dialysis centers, California, Washington, D.C. God knows where he's going next. Steve's on the road. He's our guy on the road. He's our road guy. And I know you've heard him say these things over and over and over again, right? But now there's scientific proof that the things he's saying are true. There's legislation, right? Legislation results from studies. It just doesn't pop up somewhere, right? There's legislation pending that supports exactly what Steve has been trying to say all this time about dialysis centers, about where they put them, about the people that live in those areas. And what they really need is early testing, early treatment, early diagnosis, right? Preventive treatment, preventive care. The number of people with kidney disease should go down, not up. You know, they spend thousands of dollars on other diseases. Do you know how much they spend per kidney patient doing research, trying to help us? $26 a kidney patient or something like that. It ain't enough. Okay? So when you see Steve's petition, when you hear him talk, when you see him share that stuff, sign up. Sign that petition. Share it. It's on change.org. Right? Share it. Talk it up with your friends. Talk it up with your family. Get that email out, baby. You know, send it to your legislators. Okay? All right. Enough politics for one night. I thank you for taking time to listen to me. Next week, Scott Burton, is going to be on with us. We're going to talk about his foundation, Tomorrow Never Comes, and we're going to talk about his need for a kidney. On Sunday, this Sunday, that's right. Today's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I am going to be on the Lisa Baxter Show. I am not asking questions on Sunday. I am answering questions. So I'm all belonging to Miss Lisa. So you check out her show on Sunday, my friends. Right? Come see what Uncle Jim has to say, because you never know what Uncle Jim's going to say, right? Right? Kind of interesting sometimes, maybe a little. Okay. All right. You have a good evening. Shout out to my friends, Kent, Lisa, everybody that wrote in during the show that I missed. I appreciate so much you checking me out. Please share the program. Let's get the message out to a whole lot of folks. Okay? You have good health. You take care. You be COVID safe. And I'll see you in a week. Bye, my friends. Take care.
I've been walking beneath streetlights. I've been walking, cause I can't find peace on these nights. I've been walking, but my strides are getting slower. Still I'm walking, but I don't know where I'm going. I've been looking for love, but only found deception. Told my secrets to some people who have not kept it.